but of course, never a dull day when it comes to politics. And it's all going on over in Scotland. Long story short, the government there has pretty much imploded. Let's not waste any more time. Let's cross live to Scotland to talk to our Scottish reporter, Tony Maguire. Good evening. The sun looks very nice where you are. It's certainly not that sunny here, I can tell you. But anyway, for anyone that's not been following the twists and turns of today, can you bring us up to speed?
Sure thing, Michelle. I mean, how long do you have, really? That is the key question here. Everything really kicked off around 8:30 this morning when an emergency cabinet meeting led to the end of the Butte House Agreement. That has been in place since 2021, and it's essentially a coalition government between the Scottish Greens and the Scottish National Party. Well, that came to an end this morning, and what many people are saying has very much a kind of energy of, well, I'm going to dump you before you dump me, because certainly the Scottish Greens, well, they were already in talks as to whether this agreement would come to the end. But nevertheless, the SNP marched into this afternoon with a minority government. And then at FMQs, where the opposition parties get to pose their burning questions to the First Minister, of course, there was only one topic on the agenda today, and that essentially was headlined by Douglas Ross, the Scottish Conservative leader, calling a vote of no confidence in Humza Yousaf. Well, that seemed to come as a bit of a shock for the First Minister, and certainly with 31 MSPs, the Scottish Conservatives have the votes to make sure that that goes through as a vote in Parliament next week. Then over the course of this afternoon, we've seen the other parties come out. We've seen the Scottish Liberal Democrats say that they too have lost faith in Humza Yousaf, and of Scottish Labour, Anna Sarwar, making a video saying Scottish Labour will likely be voting with the Scottish Conservatives in this vote of no confidence. So who does that leave us with? Well, the Scottish Greens, who within the last hour held a press conference here at Holyrood to say that their former stablemates, well, they're going to be voting with the Conservatives because they have lost faith in Humza Yousaf. That leaves one MSP with the 64 MSPs voting with no confidence for the First Minister, and that one MSP is Ash Regan, former SNP Minister herself. She stepped down during the gender recognition reform debate, and now she was essentially going to be the kingmaker in this scenario. So a lot happening here, and hopefully it just came in under time.
You honestly couldn't make some of this stuff up, could you? But no, you're very good. Your timing was spot on. That's Tony Maguire. I'll leave you to go enjoy the last rays of the sunshine. I mean, I thought it was quite interesting there where he said Humza Yousaf was very surprised when he heard about this no confidence vote. I don't know who he talks to, but I talk to people on a daily basis, and I absolutely was not surprised when I heard that. I was actually quite surprised that it hadn't happened sooner. And that whole kind of dynamic about who actually wanted to break up with who. What do you think has been going on here?
Well, look, in my view, the Scottish National Party, in part, but only in part because they were with the Green Party, had a completely crazy environmental policy, which has now crashed against reality, and they have had to drop that policy. Wisely, they should never have embarked on that in the first place.
They wanted to cut the carbon emissions by 75% by 2030, in case you're not familiar. And they said that they're not going to meet. Last week they said that they're not going to meet that.
Can't possibly meet it. This has riled the Scottish Greens, who have therefore pulled out of the government. Fair enough. The Scottish Green Party is there to believe in these sort of fantasies. So they're out. Now it goes to the maths, which Tony Maguire explained pretty well. That if you were to add together the SNP and this one MP from the Alba party, Alex Salmond's breakaway, it's 64-64. However, I think I wouldn't be surprised if some of the SNP MSPs themselves want to get rid of Yousaf as well. So I suspect, as a gambling man, he's out next week, one way or another. Now, that doesn't mean, like we have in the UK Parliament, it's not like a vote of confidence in the UK Parliament in Westminster. That does not trigger an election. Here in the Westminster Parliament, if you vote against the government and they lose your confidence, that's it. General election immediately happens. No. There'll be 28 days to try and form a new government. And only if that fails will there be new Holyrood elections. So I suspect my guess would be Yousaf will probably go. The best he can hope for is a draw with the presiding officer then voting for him. More likely he goes, and then the SNP need to work out how on earth they can put together a governing coalition
and
again.
Just quickly before I bring Ceri in, I mean, even if he loses this vote next week, it's not technically binding. So I guess, technically speaking, he could turn around and say, OK, you lot don't want me, but I believe in myself and I'm going to persevere. Do you think there's a chance?
Is that right? Is
it
not? I don't know. Your constitutional knowledge is better than mine. I think if he loses a vote of confidence, he's got to go. I thought that was the rule.
Oh,
it would certainly be force majeure at this point.
I shall get someone to check that, but I didn't think he had to go.
What's mad here is the vote is about confidence in the First Minister. It should be about the Scottish Government as a whole. So you either take down that entire government. This would be crazy. It would be mad in Westminster to have a motion on Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister. You've either got to take down the government or support the government.
There's never a dull moment.
The rules written here, well, we're already confused about them, right, Michelle?
There is never a dull moment. And, yeah, confusion strikes. I shall get clarity, worry not. Ceri, your thoughts on it all?
Well, I'd just say good riddance to a coalition of cranks, really. I think they've behaved so autocratically, you know, so regardless of the interests of Scottish citizens.
Hang on, because I was going to say, people might be sitting at home going, what does that word mean? What do you mean?
An autocrat is someone who acts as a small concentration of power regardless of everyone else's interests. You know, that's the sort of nub of autocracy. And I think that's what they've been like, as a sort of small group of technocratic politicians and civil servants supported by NGOs. And as Mark said, horrific on the Green politics, which it wasn't just the Greens, it was the SNP, and supported by Labour in terms of screwing up oil and gas in Scotland. We've had the Gender Recognition Act. Nobody voted in anybody to support that, and then a trans rapist in a women's prison. We've had the Scottish hate crime bill, criminalising people for what they might say over dinner when they've had a few. Shocking and so authoritarian. I just wish that this did trigger an election, and I'm not sure it will, but I think what the SNP have done in terms of dumping their Green association is desperately know and try and claw back a little bit of Scottish support, because I think they know people have had enough.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I talk to you guys every day and I listen to what you have to say. And I won't repeat some of the criticisms that Humza comes into from some of you, but they're not very polite. So I'm on a mission today. I'm going to look right now as I'm speaking to you. Is anybody out there rooting for him? Because one of the things that he's actually arguing, the SNP are very fragmented at the moment, aren't they? And they're very kind of disjointed. He's saying, if you believe this anyway, that actually he made this decision about this coalition because he's putting his party's interests first. He thinks that this will be almost like a rallying cry to strengthen the SNP. Is there anyone out there watching in and around Scotland that agrees with that sentiment or not? Do you agree with that sentiment, that actually something that could come out of this is a much more united SNP?
No, because I think the problem was this. I completely agree with what Ceri was just saying. Look, you've got to understand the SNP basically exists for one key purpose, which is to split Scotland from the United Kingdom. And they have failed in that endeavour. And therefore, they have gone down a million different bizarre rabbit holes, like the Gender Recognition Act, bizarre climate policy and the rest of it. The rough equivalent for us in England would be, I don't know, if the Brexit Party or UKIP had won an election outright, but couldn't get Britain out of the European Union, and then started to pursue other strange policies. And that's exactly what the SNP's done. So if the SNP can't trigger a second referendum, or the departure of Scotland from the United Kingdom, what's it for? And what it's turned out to be for is a whole bizarre range of very woke policies and an underlying pretty poor performance. It's not like educational standards have enormously risen in Scotland compared to England. In fact, they've fallen behind. It's not like average wages have risen in Scotland more than England. In fact, they've fallen behind. So on all of the bread and butter barometers, the SNP government has performed badly. On all of this completely crazy stuff about reducing carbon emissions by that level by 2030 or putting men into women's prisons has become completely extraordinary as well. And they have failed in their principal objective of at least triggering a second referendum on the constitutional question. So pretty much fail, fail, fail.
I'm searching really high. I was listening to you, Mark, but I was also scouring the inbox. I was scouring the website. I've not managed to find anyone yet that's backing him.
One quick thing, though, because I don't disagree with you, Mark. You know, it might be true that their founding principle or whatever is, you know, independence for Scotland. But I think if you look at their record and look at them historically, and remember these are arch Remainers as well, that they've always come from a political or philosophical outlook that supports behind closed doors politics, that is about, like the EU, keep the people away from the people because they think they know what's best for people. And you see that with these crazy acts, that it is that idea of we know what's best for people. So actually, and I've got no skin in the game in this, where if Brexit or UKIP or some other minority party, you know, against the EU had won an election in Britain, I don't think they would have had that crazy rabbit hole, cranky approach, because it wasn't a politics based on keep us away from the masses, we know better, which is what the SNP and Scottish Greens really believe in.
One of my viewers, Steve, says, I live in Scotland and it's about time both the SNP and the Greens got their just rewards. He says they've systematically destroyed Scotland between both of them. He says, however, equally, we should not trust Labour in Scotland either. So what does that mean then? Is it the Scottish Tories for you? Is that the answer? Get in touch and let me know. Gordon, you make an interesting point. You say after the destruction of pretty much every single service in Scotland and the billions wasted, plus the failures in Wales, is it time for the Blair lie that is devolution to be stopped and control returned to Westminster? Is it?
I don't think... I'm actually quite a fan of devolution, even though we've done it in an astonishing way. At least, you know, whether you like the Scottish government at the moment, and Michelle, you can't yet find a single viewer who does, but it's their decision and it's in their hands. And I don't really want to pronounce to the Scottish people from London. I like power being close to the people. I agree with Ceri, open to the people as well. But we in the United Kingdom are pretty much the most centralised bureaucracy and democracy in the Western world. Nearly 95% of all tax and spend decisions made by Westminster. So give people power. If they screw it up, change your government.
Well, there you go. I am on a one-woman mission. I am determined to find you. I'm sure there's one of you out there that is in Scotland that does support Humza Yousaf. Where are you? Get in touch with me, because so many people, I can tell you now, are getting in touch with me, and they absolutely do not back him. So I'm on a mission. Tell me if you do, and also tell me why you do.